Things have a habit of coming back around, of equalizing, of finding their own level, regressing to the mean. If you're young, the circumstances as they stand are unlikely to be the same, even a decade into the future. This is a reassuring treatise for men doubting their ability to contribute or succeed in the game of life, who might be feeling rejected by their female counterparts in the early years of adulthood. For older men in their 30s like myself, this is an affirmation of just what can be accomplished by rejecting societal expectations, taking ownership, playing the lone wolf, and winning the long game. As men, in our formative years, it's so easy to get caught up in the obsession with so-called pickup, the psychological trap of dating and relationships, to the point that it is all-consuming. It happens to us very abruptly, at a point in our teens. When testosterone production goes into overdrive, puberty happens and biological maturation takes place. This is both a blessing and a curse. In the positive, our voice deepens, muscles develop, we grow taller, hair on our face and elsewhere makes its presence known, our bones get more dense. In the negative, an irresistible and powerful obsession with the opposite gender takes hold, if we aren't careful, sometimes ruining long-standing friendships, destroying passions and hobbies we once relished in, and corrupting our ability to think with logic and reason. We somewhat lose our boyish obsession with tinkering with things, building stuff, running for the sake of it, roughhousing with friends, as these biological imperatives take over. It is at this point in life that men feel like they need a woman to somehow fix their broken life, plug the gap, validate their masculinity, and slake their innate biological desires. If you're anything like me, you started life in a fairly working-class family, and were a pretty unremarkable, average run-of-the-mill guy. What began as a dedicated commitment to schoolwork gradually turned to disillusionment with the curriculum and the pursuit of my own interests. Of course, like most men, I developed unrequited infatuations with women that were available in my network at the time. As I developed, I had my height going for me, but I wasn't particularly built until I started going to the gym in my early 20s. I wouldn't say I'm particularly smart, but I was very successful in my early years of high school before disillusionment ruined my subsequent efforts. Certainly I would say that purely on a looks basis, I am more desirable now than at any point in my formative development. I have a more pronounced jawline, consistent facial hair, and orders of magnitude greater knowledge and life experience. And these traits are attractive to women of any classification. You see, men have to manufacture their value in so many ways. Unless, of course, you're genetically gifted with looks or you're the star quarterback. All of us knew a kid that had a car before anyone else, through their well-off parents. I knew a couple of these guys growing up in high school. And despite being pretty busted facially and physically, it's amazing what daddy's money can give you in terms of female attention. Despite initial envy of these people, I learned that this mindset can only cause harm. If someone has material abundance given to them on a plate by their family, it should teach you to build and preserve this for yourself. Don't hate them. Concentrate on changing your own circumstances during your 20s. This should be seen as a blessing. It teaches you to manufacture your own abundance through hard work and effort, and this experience is of huge personal value. Even the men who are fundamentally successful with beautiful women between 20 to 35 have an insane success to failure ratio. They get rejected by innumerable women for every successful pursuit. The thirst for intimacy and validation by our peers at this age is a seductive and often irresistible force. Men have to graft out their value at the coalface of life, building physique in the gym, learning speaking skills and charisma, acquiring knowledge and wealth. It takes your average guy around a decade to do this from puberty, often longer, but by their mid-30s these efforts are either starting to bear fruit or are in a fledgling state. By contrast, women receive tremendous dating and societal capital in their late teens and early to mid-20s. In most cases, this capital is received for free, by genetic birthright, and then further augmentation with cosmetics. They just have to merely exist, and by maturity have a voluptuous figure, shiny skin, and flowing hair. As such, dudes are queuing up to ply them with attention, dates, drinks, meals, gifts, and compliments. Social media amplifies this effect. It is a force multiplier. It's amazing how much can be accomplished with this capital, for right or wrong. The amount of attention a young woman can receive, while her contemporary male counterparts are largely ignored. It's incredible. Just look at Instagram. Millions of followers and millions of dollars just for contributing pictures of your body would warp anyone's mind. This does, however, demonstrate the social value of beauty. It's exceedingly rare for a woman to continue to do this past the age of 30, as there is always a new 21-year-old to take their place. What women can do, given this social attention and desirability, is be incredibly selective as to who they date and spend their time with, until reality hits home hard in just a few short years. When that person is not you, though, you may as well be invisible to them. It can cause a great deal of frustration and resentment, but this worldview is very counterproductive. It just isn't your time yet. Any of you men out there can run a simple experiment, using the double-edged sword that is social media, the poison that is dating apps. Go ahead and set your preferences to 30 to 40-year-old women, and you will see the struggle you are having, or had, in your late teens and early 20s, flipped on its head. The levels of desperation and panic clearly evident. Women with ridiculous demands and requirements for men that they never applied in their early 20s when chasing the bad boys. They may even have a child or two or more. The need for a relationship at this stage of life is equivalent to the drive men experience in their late teens and early 20s. They see their friends and female relatives celebrating weddings, they go to baby showers, and they begin to feel like life is leaving them behind. They'll be straight and upfront saying, "I'm ready to settle down," done playing around, looking for a guy who knows what he wants, speaking in riddles and code. Second experiment, those brothers out there in your early 30s and above, go ahead and check your Facebook profiles, the girls, now women, from your school year that everyone thought were hot, the it girls of your little micro-environment. I ran this study myself on the 3 girls from my year that were attractive, and the results were quite shocking. Massive weight gain in some with kids but no father around. Also of note is the fact that they have usually settled down with a guy they wouldn't have even considered giving the time of day just a short decade ago. Even as early as their late 20s, women start to get anxious about settling down. The biological clock is ticking, and by the 30s this builds to fever pitch. I've seen this firsthand in my extended family, as will many of you. The overwhelming torrent of male attention that women experience in their early adulthood has now all but dried up, and none of them ever see it coming, despite impassioned warnings from their older female peers. Conversely, go ahead and look at the dudes who were in your year. Now I understand that a lot of them will have let themselves go, gained weight, given up sports, etc., lost a bunch of hair, and look like garbage. They'll perhaps have kids themselves, and oftentimes have a beaten down look behind their eyes. The weight of providing for themselves and their families has taken its toll. Others, though, will have developed and maintained a physique, progressed in their career, preserved or even enhanced their looks, avoided permanent commitments, travelled somewhat, and enhanced their life experience. I can certainly state from personal experience that the males from my school year, on aggregate, are doing much better physically than the women. There is a preponderance of single motherhood, obesity, wrinkles, ill-advised tattoo selection, and a general state of decline. This isn't to be nasty or derisory, it's just a statement of objective fact. They squandered the capital that nature bestowed upon them that they took for granted, and only a minority of them cashed their chips while they were in the black. For men entering and progressing through their 30s, people are quick to make often unfounded assumptions. Oh, you're a wild bachelor, an overgrown man-child, or you're more obsessed with fixing up your motorbike or guitar collection than dating women the wrong side of 35. The topics of conversation with friends, certainly from my own experience, has shifted back from dating and relationships in our late 20s to things like films, video games, sports, owning property, investments, and our respective careers. For men that do the right things, the threshold of 30 can be a special place indeed, and a time of great awakening. On more than one occasion I have been told by senior male figures that dating in your 30s can be highly successful and rewarding, as women from their early 20s to early 40s are within the realm of dating possibility. Men can go from chasing women around in their 20s, often without much in the way of reward, to being the prize in their 30s. Women their own age will be well aware of the fact. The men their own age that they banked on being available as prospects are just now entering their prime. You know the ones, the guys who weren't the star quarterback or naturally gifted with women back then. It's not immature. You don't have Peter Pan syndrome if you want to experience the dating life that women your own age have had since they were 18. This is shaming language BS. Meanwhile, in following a lone wolf lifestyle, you have the ability to work on your own projects, follow your hobbies and interests without any of the commitments of your contemporaries, the demands of a wife and family life, or an established girlfriend. The dice are now loaded in your favour. At the same time, you've seen good friends and family members often battle through long-term relationships filled with emotional turmoil, limited, if any, intimacy, or financially ruinous divorce. You've been sat on the sidelines, gaining experience, appreciating the amazing freedom of bachelorhood, waiting for the opportune moment to take the strike. If you've managed to avoid marriage up to the age of 30, the likelihood of you ever getting married continues to diminish with each passing year, yet you maintain freedom, independence and capital that enables you to date an increasing abundance of desirable women. So, to all my brothers out there who are racked with self-doubt, worry, and a forlorn sense of desperation, do not be disheartened. Your time will come.